Hey guys, in this video, we will be going over how to implement QuickTime events with story framework, both outside of sequence during gameplay and also during the sequence. So this is one of the example. We are able to implement the QTE during in sequence, during the cinematic sequence, and we can have different outcome with winning the boss and also losing to the boss. So we will be able to have two different sequence outcome. And let's start with how it works. It will be quite long, I'd say, because it requires a little bit of fundamentals. So one of the official documents by Visual One is this thing. It's called SF 2.0 Upgrade Guide, and starting from here, how to use QuickTime events. So this talks about how it should be implemented in a sequence, as what you just saw, and we will take a look from the beginning. So the whole thing is surrounded with this QuickTime event, which is located inside Interaction Manager, and we can look Interaction Manager. It is this actor component, and this is the main functionality that we are using throughout the gameplay. And some of the let's keep going. Some of the very important structures and also data types that we are using is the first one is the QTE input data. This is what it looks like. It records the keyboard inputs and the keys on the keyboard, and also a gamepad input, and anything like that. And you can add onto it yourself. I think we have a little modification for better debugging. And it is, well, I should talk about this then. So the second thing is the QTE type data. The QTE type data defines the total time we would be able to have for each I'll say, let's say reaction time, right? Each reaction time that you get to press the button. And let's head right back. And QTE input widgets, and also the QTE type E, that's enum, we are used, right? These kind of works together, and these data types are used thoroughly throughout the throughout this function, right? And this function is used basically every time when we call it QuickTime events. One main function is the get QTE key conditions. It is already implemented for you, but you can go through Visual One's tutorial to kind of go through it yourself, so you have an understanding of how it works. And the next thing is that after it is done, we want to plug in everything, the create QuickTime event. It needs to be targeted. Well, it's called from the Interaction Manager actor component, and we need to make our own QTE type and plug into the setting, and also the QTE input data and plug it into the input. Let's take one example. So one example we can check is it should be this thing. Okay. So we can check this event. We can go to the CreateQTE, and we can we can find out what this looks like, right? And for one thing is that these inputs, these how should I say, these variables are exposed, so we are able to set it in the sequencer. Right, I can right click it, and you can see that the payload allows us to alter the values of each variables, right? The offsets input and also the gamepad keyboard, the gamepad input. Okay, so after we have a grasp of how it works, we can make let's make a QuickTime event. Yep. So this is one QuickTime event I implemented. It's very simple. The idea is that once the controller is active and once I begin play, it does a bunch of things. Then we call the QuickTime event, right? So basically, by doing nothing, unplug it. By doing nothing, we'll be able to see a QuickTime event like on the screen. Once I click play, we can see that there's nothing going on. There's nothing happens. But if I were to, for example, I went to the play controller and added the QuickTime event right after all the other things that happen in the begin play. Let's put it in there. We can take a look at what we did. So first, it is a function call from the interaction manager. The second is we made. We can delete this. We can make a variable and we can call this. Let's give it 2 seconds. We can save it for this. Let's give it a gamepad. Let's give it whatever. Now we can give this, for example, I would say B. Safe. And there are also other options. We can see that there are ignore all keys except target. So if this is pressed, which means that if we were to like click something else, it wouldn't matter. But if it's unticked, if it's leave on empty, it means that if we put in the wrong key, it would it would return fail, right? It will basically fail the QuickTime event. And for the keyboard, so these two doesn't come with the template, the framework. You can just simply, well, I added these two for simple debugging, and it's also what Visual One did, the creator of Star Framework did. So I just had it in there, but it doesn't really matter. And after all, we want to plug, success and a custom event success and also a custom event fail right into this functionality. So we know if it's success, what will happen, and if it's failed, what else would happen, right? There's one way. I believe what the creator did is that drag this out, create event, and we can select this on onto this custom function on QTE success, and also we can do the same. We can do create event. Let's do this. Let's drag it down a little bit, and this goes into fail on QTE fail. So this would work as well. This would be, I'll say this would be more organized, but I say they do the same thing. And we can take a look, right? Let's make sure we save everything, because our engine had been quite unstable lately. And we can play from here. Okay, and well, that was quick. Shit, we just failed, I guess. B, yep, should be B. Okay, let's play again. Yep, so I press B and it passed. So let's play again. Okay, I failed and it says QTE fail. It should be exactly what we output here. Yep, so we know this works. There are many other ways. I didn't imagine how you can trigger this. One is very simple using like a trigger box. Right, we can put a trigger box here. Like once you, for example, you are going through like an entrance, right, like a tunnel or something, and you want to have like a jump scare or something, what you can do is that you can like go over a certain area and you trigger the event, right? You trigger the animation, you trigger the zombie or whatever to jump out, and you have to hit a quick time event in order to dodge it, right? Something like that. And yeah, there are, of course, it's up to your imagination. So the second thing is that we already learned how to create a quick time event during gameplay. We also are able to do it during sequence. Okay, so how I did was the interactable blueprint to trigger the QTE event is that we need to we need to create a blueprint that is a child class of the interactable base BP. The reason why we want to do that is because we want to use the event interact with, which was implemented in the BPI, right, in the interface. And how it works is that we can pull up the SF tools. It's the utility widget. You can find it. SF tools UW, and you can find this. You can run the editor utility tool, the widget, and after you have this open, click on, for example, right, in this case we have the reflex stand. We can do the let's see, we can do the we can do the interaction setting. So there you have currently, right, you have different interaction, you have different ways to interact with this blueprint. So for default, if we leave it on default, it would trigger the event interact with. So that's how it works. Let's drag it out. Let's interactable BP. Let's drag this out, interactable base, and I want to, let's print something. Print string. Let's say interact default interactable base. Okay, let's save this, and we can let's give it a mesh. Let's give it a cube. Okay, it should. I assume it should work, right? Yep. So we can like interact with this thing, and once we interact, you can see that we have the interactable default interact default interactable base, right, on the top left. So that's how it works. You want it to leave it in the default, want to leave the setting to default. I believe you can also change it here. Yep, it's at the interaction method. There's the primary and secondary, right? We only focus on the primary in this case as default pickup, everything. And also, of course, you can change it as well, right? So it's just an enum by the end of the day. And yeah, that's how you can trigger and create quick time event. I can quick. Is that quick time event? Right. So that's how you can like trigger this thing. That's how you can interact. Then it leads into the sequence, right? So in my case, let's go back to the reflex stand. This is the child class of the interactable base. Right, so we can go to what I did is I implemented its event interact with. All this doesn't really matter. So the important part is right here. We, there's a whole bunch of things. Then we want to play level sequence, and the level sequence includes the quick time events that we had. That is, in the sequence that you have to click certain buttons to dodge attacks, basically. Yeah, take a look, and it's nothing too special, right? This is we already went through this, and let's get into it. We can check out how this sequence is set up. So, to set up this sequence, this by recommendation, it's best to set up a master sequence to include all the small sequences into, you know, into one big one, right? You can see right here. This is the second one, right? So we are able to include everything into this one master sequence, right? You can record, right? I assume you should be able to know how to do the sequence thing yourself, right? It's pretty simple. One of the things you have to remember is that you have to bind. You have to make sure to bind your camera, right? Because when I didn't bind it, it wouldn't actually make the cinematic camera. It wouldn't make the sequence camera as my default camera. So I was kind of just like stuck outside. Let's go back to the master. So, okay. So as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sequence lineup, and for each action, for each attack, giant's attacking, and also the mini guy dodging, the katana guy dodging, we want to. This is how I do it. We want to create an event. Let's do trigger, and you want to do the, let's add the point. Actually, let's do here, we can add a key, right click onto this, and we can see that currently it's unbinded, and we can do a quick bind. Go to, let's create QTE, right? So for example, if you were just to create a new sequence, none of the functionality will be included, right? One of the easy way to do this is you can copy paste from copy paste from whatever this includes, right? We can go to the director. We can copy paste whatever its functionality has. The main ones you want to be looking at is the CreateQTE, the create QuickTime event is called in the CreateQTE, and then we want to have the fail, we want to have the succeed. Yeah, like these are the main things, right? The most important thing is that you want to make sure the CreateQTE is well implemented. Okay, so let's get back. Of course, right? You can create it from the ground up yourself, because it's nothing too complicated. We can go to the director. Okay, I believe this is mine. We can check out how I implemented. So, okay, mainly for this thing, for QTE, that we want to expose certain variables, right? Want to make sure we can set the offset, and also we can set the input in the in the sequence, right? So these will be exposed, and you can play around with the numbers yourself as well, right? What we can do more is that, for example, I don't really like this value. I can do let's do, like, I can write a float. Right, I can do just how should I say this? Play speed, right? Plays wait time, right? We can like kind of just like plug this in, and we can give it like about like a 0.1, right? Probably more than that. Let's give it 2. And during different sequence, we're able to, we can, for example, I can create a new key here. I can property, I can create a new endpoint, right? So we are able to, for example, change wait time, right? I can do this. I can make the I can do this. Let's set it. We can set it to like a different value, if that makes sense, right? Or we can even add an input. We can do float, and we can do the new wait time, right? And we can plug this in, and we can save this. And after we go back to this, let's save it. After we go back into this, we can go to the property, and we can see that while we call the change wait time, we have the the new wait time input exposed, right? So I can change it to like 10, right? So by Siri, if I play this, after it triggers this event, my next CreateQTE should be like extremely long, right? It should be like 10 seconds. So let's try it out. So you can do, oh, it's already, I see. So it's already like extremely slow. So I'm so sorry. So I assume, we had a problem is that the the number for the time, like time slow, like slowing down time, it should be like a small value. It should be like 0.2 or 0.1. I guess, I input 2. That was like really long because we also have the time dilation. So, 0.2 actually become like 20, a little bit less than like 20 seconds. So right now it should work just fine because we changed the value back to 0.1 while the time is dilated. So the first one is extremely quick. Now it costs this then it costs this change wait time function, right? And the next one and the next couple ones will be extremely long. So, that's, oh my god. And that's how it works. So for the create time, you want to do exactly the same. You want to, basically copy paste what the story framework get to offer you, and you want to implement this either yourself or or just copy paste it. One thing is that we can go to I can go to this one. There's one thing that I was like extremely frustrated is that um what Visual One did is that he likes to put some functionalities into a collapsed graph. So he believe it, he can how should I say that? He can like process it better, I'd say. It'll be more organized. But for some situation, for example, the create QTE logic, um, it doesn't like my sequence director couldn't find it when it's in a collapsed graph, if that makes sense. um let me show you what I mean. So let's go back to my director. Let's go back to my level sequence director. Let's go to the sequence graph. Let's copy paste here. All right, and let's give it another name. CreateQTE error. All right, let's say it like that. What is going on? Okay, I mean these two doesn't matter. All right, so by Siri, right, we should be able to call the CreateQTE error from the sequence as well, but you cannot. I don't know what it is. It's probably something with the address searching or whatnot. And in fact, I can, let's do this. Like last time I did this, it straight up just break. Like the editor straight up just break. Let's go to let's add a key. Then I want to select the key property. I want to quick bind this into the error. And you can see, once I clicked it, it just break. The thing, it just broke. And it says that it's exception access violation. So it's yeah. The only reason is because it's within a collapsed graph instead of it's a traditional function that is exposed on the sequence graph. It's in theory it is still in there. It is within a collapsed graph, but it's just unable to find it. So yeah, I mean this is the yeah, I would say this is like the only part that you have to be careful about is that you don't want to have collapse graph, like just straight up copy paste from the example into your own sequence like that. And yeah, I said before, I said like besides this, there shouldn't be too much you need to learn about to make this QuickTime event work, right? So yeah, I hope this is helpful.